Paolo Grasso, and I'm the sales director since 1 year here at ECOLEAF, delighted of this opportunity. Yeah, sorry. Yes, I like it. To be clear in my messaging, that I exaggerate. So I've been in this industry of printing, converting, wood binding earlier for almost 25 years now, and as I was saying, 1 year I joined ECOLEAF because I personally believe a lot in this technology, in the sustainability-driven solutions. I love the fact that Actiga is not just ECOLEAF, but has plenty of ideas, and projects, investments in the pipeline towards the direction of sustainability. So no matter what it takes, they will make it happen. Now, just a technical note to add on what Stefan just mentioned. We prepared a takeaway for all of you. The bag, the white bag, you have samples. We have samples, we have physical new samples for you to take pictures, to show, to keep at home, whichever you like in your office. There is a bottle of ECOLEAF white wine, Trocken wine from Germany, a very good one. Just for those of you who are traveling with hand baggage in the airplane, if you want me, so either you drink it before or leave it here, we will ship it to you. Okay, just don't waste it. As I was saying, a warm welcome, thank you for making it all the way to Levle. I know it's not very easy, but luckily you were all on time and safe here. I'm really delighted for this because I consider you like our ambassadors here in Europe. We could not, at this point in time, due to COVID, difficulties in traveling, invite a huge bunch of customers, converters, to see the technology, but we are now starting the commercialization, so we will do it more and more. We will really ask for your full, entire support to report the experience, not just the rain that we got, but the full day experience, the technology that you have seen, the results, the samples, the feeling with the company, which, like Stefan was mentioning, is a startup. It's only made of 25 people at the moment, but extremely highly qualified. Everybody from the industry, scientists, application specialists. So it's the top notch in the industry. And this shows the commitment that Altana and Actiga have towards this project. So we would like you to bring back home and publish this kind of feelings, whatever good you can take back home tomorrow, because we want to inform the world that after the vision that Reni Landa had back in 2016, presenting an idea that today is reality, but if you think about 10 years from now, where this will be, so critically look at what is available today, but try to have a vision of where we got since Landa 2016 and where we can be in 10 years from now. And the world is truly looking towards digitalization, sustainability, of course, the new mantra, and the new generations, the Gen Z of today, will be the new entrepreneurs, they will be the new machine operators. And will they really want to deal with these things, feeding, splicing, re-registering, etc.? I think they will rather like a green button and a red button, metal on, metal off, and that's it. So simplicity. That's really our vision for the years to come. So, ECOLEAF, new category in digital embellishment for labels. Today we start from the label industry because it's highly demanding in terms of quality. It uses a lot of metals, but we will not stop to the narrow level industry. We are aiming much higher towards faster speeds and wider web formats, towards sheet-fed and wide web printing. So, as I said, we will continue to invest in this direction. Before we jump into ECOLEAF, I really want to take a minute to introduce you to the world of Altana and Artega and explain why we bought over this technology from Memilano. First, because the owner of Altana, she believes a lot on sustainability. As I said, many projects towards this direction. So she took it over, but there was, I believe, no better company in Europe, probably in the world, that could have developed this technology to the utmost. Because ECOLEAF is not very much about the hardware, you will see it later. Jasper developed this miniaturized central impression drum machine to produce digital metallization, but it's about the chemistry. And Altana is the biggest privately owned chemical company in Europe. You see here the four main pillars of Altana. We use all of them actually. Probably the ones you know the most in the graphic industries are Eckert, who is the supplier of our metal pigments, and of course Actiga, which is world leader for primers, sealants, and varnishes. So no one better than Actiga could have developed this balance of chemistry to work to make ECOLEAF run as it is today. Of course, we count on Altana as a world presence. It's a multinational company with several manufacturing plants all over the world, primarily Germany, Europe, and also North America, Latin, but also in Asia. So ECOLEAF as of today is present in Europe. We want to keep it close to Germany for a period of time, although in September we will present together with our partners ABG at Label Expo Americas to get a feeling from the market there, and the ambition is to end of 2023 we open up in North America and then later on the rest of the world. So we are ready to go global with our sister companies. One of the missions of Altana as a group, of course, is sustainability. So they are planning to become carbon neutral by 2025, which is a good 10 years before the plan for the European community. So as you can see there, different initiatives towards carbon neutral emission. And part of that are the projects in which ECOLEAF belongs. Now here, just to give you an overview about the different applications Actega works with, I will step out and show you a short video that gives you the whole idea about Actega, and then I'll explain you more details.
Actega touches the lives of billions of people every day without them noticing. What they also don't see, how we make this world a little better with our sustainable and unique solutions. We are with you so many times a day, knowing that our solutions help to facilitate packaging recycling, reduce material and waste, lower energy consumption, or increase process efficiency makes your favorite food or beverage even more enjoyable. At Actega, we take our responsibility to society and the environment seriously. Based on our overarching expertise in chemistry, formulation, and application, we develop innovative and safe solutions on a daily basis. For us, sustainability is not just a new trend or a single initiative. It's a driving principle that has been and will continue to be in our DNA. This is also reflected in the numerous certifications and ratings we have received over the years, and which are proof of our efforts and commitment. Prominent examples are our many EcoVadis certifications, as well as material health certificates, which use the globally recognized material health assessment methodology of the Cradle to Cradle Certified Product Standard. Actiga offers a broad portfolio of solutions focused on sustainability. This includes products that have themselves been sustainably formulated, as well as products that contribute to more sustainable end products. Alongside these are innovative technologies that combine sustainability with a high-quality product decoration. We understand sustainability as an important driver for innovation. At Actiga, we contribute to conserving resources and designing better processes. We help our customers to produce with low emissions and increase the safety of their products. This means, for example, displacing PE extruded material with water-based barrier coatings. It may also involve saving packaging material wherever possible, as this can have a positive impact on the carbon footprint too. Less material equals energy savings, hence reduced emissions from transport. We understand that the most impactful solutions need to deliver value to our customers while being responsible stewards of our natural resources. It seems like a big challenge, but together we can build a better tomorrow. Let's make the world a little bluer.
Let us make the world a little bluer, because Actiga colors are blue, and they believe this is the blue planet. We should really preserve it as it is for the future generations. So you will see how many applications Actiga covers in the world of printing, paper and board, flexible packaging, really a lot, much more I think than anyone of us would ever think about. So it's not just pure label printing. And among the projects, of course, ECOLEAF is what we are going to present today, but Signite on the opposite side of the ocean from Actiga North America has been introduced and is also growing and will be soon available for Europe as well. So this is now the self-adhesive labels without a face stock. So we as ECOLEAF remove the liners from the equation of metallic embellishment. The colleagues from Signite remove the face stock from the label itself. So we have a transfer colors instead of labeling or direct-to-object printing. Digital varnishing, another group of companies is working on these digitally jetted embellishments available with print bars, to get haptic effects and really wow effects, because like Stefan was mentioning, we all buy with our eyes first. So we like nice packaging when we do our shopping. Like it or not, admit it or not, but we are attracted by beautiful things. So we buy it if it looks good, it means it's good. And Actiga resolves these issues, allows metallization, sustainable, digital embellishment, sustainable, appealing. In the shrink sleeves industry is growing tremendously, and they have a beautiful array of varnishes and colors available for the final touch to the shrink sleeve. You might have seen some around, really are fantastic products. Now we come to ECOLEAF. Briefly about the basic technology. I jump a little faster here because you will have plenty of possibilities today to see live likely in function. What do? We apply a trigger image. That's basically a varnish, so it's not longer the cold foil glue, but it's a real varnish, fully curate with a standard UV light, and then go through this ECOLEAF unit, which I call a miniaturized central impression drum machine. It's actually the unit that you see above there on the gallows rails. There we process the metallic pigments from a liquid format to a perfectly dried surface, fully mirroring. So what we tend to do is to reproduce the back side of the foil. on a central impression drum that we call donor roller. It's a silicone-based coated surface material. The donor roller attracts the metal pigments because it's made of silicone, and the silicone refuses the water, so rejects the water. A little bit like in an offset process, we get this separation, we wipe off the excess water, we dry completely this mirror red metallic layer, which then gets transferred to the trigger image. So, like in a coil foil process, the trigger image will attract the pigments and will hold the pigments, stick to them. After the process, we can use any flex or additional digital embellishment to overprint the metal effects. So, same like in any other foiling process, it can be overprinted. So, three different momentums, application of the trigger image, it can be done with a flexo unit, or with a digital print bar, or with a screen application, being rotary or flatbed. Each technology has pros and cons. Flexo is extremely beautiful on films, or coated papers for very high fine details, which then turn out to be much more defined than in foiling, especially on the fine edges, the fine lines, microtext, etc., because you don't get that stripping effect from the foil to the glue. In digital embellishment, we can have basically a flowless of printing, because we have a digital print bar, so you get 500 meters of the label in a certain series and then immediately change to the next in a flawless way. With flatbed or rotary screen printing, we get the beauty of haptic. So we have haptic plus metal, so even on filming substrate, you can get a simulation of an embossing effect, which is a unique feature, a unique possibility. As I said, once we get the trigger image, we then go through this silicone donor roller, which is compressible, it's quite soft, so even when we have the haptic trigger image, it penetrates very nicely into the silicone donor roller, picking up the metal flakes. Okay? So it works with different thicknesses. And then, the beauty of overprinting, by flexo or with digital colors. You got samples in your folder which were printed on a galvous label fire machine, so inkjet overprint, very shiny, very nice variety of colors and digital embellishment. Of course, ECOLEAF is primarily about sustainability, and the picture behind me shows it very clear. We try to make this messaging very strong to present it to the brand owners because they represent the new generations. Converters have been buying foils for the last 100 years as a technology, more or less, from hot foils and then cold foils, etc. The only reason why they buy foils is because they need those metal pigments which are at the back of the foils. Okay, so the foil is purely a carrier. There is no other need, no other scope of the foil. Unfortunately, it only gets used by 10, maybe 20% of the whole coverage of the packaging of the label, and the balance is a waste because due to the shape, in most cases, they cannot be reused. So you end up piling up tons of scrap, which then needs also to be recycled in some way. And as it is a metallized film, the recyclability processes in Europe are still extremely rare. So normally, this type of waste gets either landfilled or incinerated or used for secondary applications like plastic pots or stuff like that. ECOLEAF has another main pillar, which is the simplicity of use. We say has the beauty of the metal flakes of coil foils, but it has the flexibility of a metallic ink, because in reality we don't apply the metal flakes in a digital way, but we apply the metal flakes using a flexo plate or an inkjet head or a screen printing. So if you change the analog scroller parameter, for example, you are able to get different effects, even in combination, like you could get a matte and a gloss effect simultaneously, or you can get a very fine detail with a flexo plate together with a haptic effect from a screen printing plate or mesh. So you can get these combinations. So you plate very conventionally, and then you have the sustainable embellishment. As I was mentioning already, different ways of applying flexo, screen printing, and inkjet. So in flexo, very high details on closed substrates such as films for small text, lines, and fine details. The beauty of tactile effects on open fiber papers, so specifically useful for wine and spirits industry, or even in the cosmetics business, but when it comes to special effects, like we want to simulate embossing on a non-embossable substrate, such as films, for instance. And then seamless metallization for short runs as digital print bar. This I mentioned almost already, so the next steps will be to use bespoke softwares to define precisely the ingredients for the metallization. So that's another step where we want to jump pretty soon. Digital presses are getting more and more common, so we would like to specify for each vendor, let's say, the scales that we want to get in order to get the metallic effects. One thing that I didn't mention so far is bottom right, reduction of costs, especially when it comes to embossing effects. In many cases, we can substitute embossing tools, being flatbed or rotary, in the wine and spirits, and like I say, also in the cosmetic industry. So that represents lesser cost, lesser number of units in the machine utilization, less setup of those machines. Sustainability, in my humble view, is nothing if it cannot be proved. It's a new mantra, it's a word that I think is being abused in the last probably 1 year. Everybody pretends to be so, but then few companies only are truly capable to prove with physical numbers what they are really doing in that direction. So in 2020, Actega Metal Print commissioned to Sfera Europe, which is an independent company specialized on life cycle assessments. We ordered them a very complex analysis which went from cradle to gate. We are not able to go from cradle to grade because we cannot control the end of life of the label after it's been applied and delivered to the consumers. So with this cradle to gate process, Sfera analyzed the entire process of manufacturing foils in both cold and hot stamping versions versus the production of our metal pigments, the donor roller sleeves, and the coatings, of course, that we use in our chemistry. Basically, what we did, we took a label which is 10% covered, metallized. We then analyzed 1 square meters of those labels and conducted the analysis on a job length of 100,000 linear meters. Oh, sorry, 100,000 labels. The same thing we did for 1 square meter, again 10% metal coverage, but with hot foil stamping. So there we have a comparison with our screen printing on 20 microns of haptic effect. Well, the results are there on the most commonly used parameter, which is the CO2 equivalent of emissions. Okay? So in terms of coil foiling comparison, we are up to 5 times lower than foils. When it comes to hot stamping, we are up to 7 times lower. Now, those figures are extremely important because they can be transferred onto the brand owners. So ideally, a converter, let's say an average label converter who does not pretend to have a green and sustainable balance sheet may well take the economical advantage of ECOLEAF, but transfer per 1,000 labels the saving of CO2 onto the brand owner. And that's a huge advantage when we know that the brand owners are really starving for sustainability solutions, sustainable solutions, because how many more solar panels, how many more electrical vehicles one could ever buy, adopt, integrate in his business. ECOLEAF is one of those technologies that physically delivers measurable results to the converters, if they want to keep it for their own balance sheet, green balance sheet, or if they want to pass it on to the brand owners. I always consider that our industry is very dynamic. I love it, as I said, I've been here for 25 years, but after 1995, when again Benny Landa introduced indigo to the world, I have to say I saw a lot of evolutions, but never seen real revolutions. Okay? And I consider ECOLEAF to be one of those revolutions. As I said, you are here today for the first time to see what will happen in the next 10 years. We are not talking about recyclability, reusability, we are talking about eliminating. Okay, that's what we eliminate. Tons of waste. So, for me, ECOLEAF is really a breaker in the industry. It's something we will hear talking in decades from now. As I say, looking for a quality that you see today, but think about where we started 5 years ago and where we can go in 10 years from now. So keep it open. The foil technology has been there for a good 50 years and more. Nothing was developed in one day. The quality that we get today in foils is the result of decades. ECOLEAF has just started, but it will break through, really. The fact that it's so new, so revolutionary, so disruptive in the equation of sustainability helps our customers, the label converters, to approach brand owners from a different angle, finally coming with a new solution. 25 years ago it was, now we entered digital printing. We are the first. Today is, now we enter sustainable embellishment. And again, we can be the first. And this gives the label converters, the possibility to step ahead in the communication, in the content to their customers. Sustainability is the new mantra. I say everybody is using and probably abusing the term today, but it's definitely the drive. And I would say Benny Landa is really a visionary of this industry, because in 2016, when he first introduced it, I think few companies would be talking about sustainability. But he had a vision of beyond the walls, 20 years ahead. We now make it true, we make it practical, we make it sellable, and in 2022 we are perfectly at the right time, at the beginning of a new process of world changing, luckily. It offers the possibility to achieve new effects. I always say it's about the imagination of the designers, the brand owners, ECOLEAF is differently beautiful. ECOLEAF allows designers to develop new ideas, which then can be played from a security angle point of view, or they can be played like a new type of embellishments. Okay, so it's something completely different. It's not a one-to-one to foils. So it can be used really in nice new ways. We have this new messaging, excellence with less materials, more flexibility, less restrictions, more efficiency with less waste, and at the end really get more with less. We have saving on waste, we have saving on costs. And those are just in a few words the key takeaway about our sustainability factors. First of all, we are a completely plastic-free process because we don't use these PET liners to carry the pigment to the factory of the converter. Imagine that we are able to substitute 3 tons of polyester carrier with 1 kilogram of our ECOLEAF metallic flakes. It's 1 to 3,000, so it's a dramatic proportion. Plus 250 liters of dirty, recyclable water, like in any ink process of this world. Saving 3 tons of foil waste. To give you an idea, an average label converter in Europe, not the big guys like we have here, but an average label converter, easily consumes 3 tons of foils in a year. Now, saving 3 tons of foils is equivalent to saving 20 tons of CO2 equivalent, which is also equal to planting 833 new trees every year. Imagine this is one average label converter in Europe. Multiply by how many there are in Europe, 10,000, okay? And then multiply this on a global scale and then think about the giant companies like we have here today that will tell us a little more of that, okay? So we are talking about huge, huge values of CO2 emissions reductions or equally planting new trees. As I said, ECOLEAF really allows high flexibility in designs. It's avoiding lots of unnecessary start and stop processes because it's on demand. Green button, metallize, red button, finish metallization. So much less start and stop processes, which lead to waste, which is not only the waste of the foil, but it's now also the waste of the substrate, the main label material. It's extremely versatile. Today here you will see it mounted on 2 gallows machines, on 2 different ABG lines. It can be positioned on rail system, so it can be moved from station to station in order to achieve the overprinting effects, or it can stand on its own basement. Less storage of materials. We just went through one of probably the most difficult years in terms of sourcing raw materials, including the foils. ECOLEAF basically comes in jars of 15 kilos, so that's the proportion, just to give you the idea of the 3 tons versus 1 kilo. We deliver it to the converter, and that is capable to last a good 6 to 12 months, depending on use. So you basically have to store another tank of ink, let's call it, and it will substitute piles of different colors, different width, different diameters of foils that don't need to be kept on stock anymore. It's available for every narrow web label press. Here today you see it on gallows and an Omet press, but it's really available for every printing machine, and I would say that more or less we have already installations with almost all of them. In terms of finishing and converting equipment, we have for Europe at the moment an exclusivity with our partner AB Graphics. Talking about quality, because obviously the fact that ECOLEAF is sustainable is fantastic, but I would say we would not be able to sell it if the quality was not comparable to foils. So quality, we don't put it as a top priority because sustainability, I think, is really the number one, but quality cannot be compromised. So today, as per today, we have 600 measurable gloss points at 60 degrees angle measure, okay, which is for the human eye absolutely acceptable and comparable to the current 700 gloss points of foils. So we are not there yet 100%, but when me and my mother buy a product on the shelf, we would not distinguish, and samples are here for you to see whether this is foil or whether that's ECOLEAF. Okay? Nevertheless, this number will grow and will grow a lot faster now that we fixed the chemistry, and will really grow even above the figures of foils. High gloss, that's what we get, overprintable. So like I mentioned, even when we go through digital presses, we get really shine, beautiful, metallized colors, and you have samples for that. One of the aims that we have is obviously to substitute this scenario of terrible amounts of waste, but not only just in foils, think also about metallized substrates, films and paper, which are, number one, extremely more expensive than standard products. Number two, they very often don't go through the sorting equipment. So they get blocked, so they get a special waste, and then the whole chain breaks a little bit. A valid substitute also to many gravure inks. Now, gravure inks are, I would say, the best technology and probably the most economically viable today, but gravure, we know, it's very rarely available with label converters. It's a very difficult technology for them to adopt, to use, because of UC restrictions, etc. In the narrow industry, we are very much on UV solutions. So gravure is not really a technology that belongs to the narrow label printing. In that sense, ECOLEAF can help a lot because it allows the simplicity of a UV flex station with the quality of a foil, which is still definitely above the quality of gravure inks. This picture from Microscope Lab, and later you will have a tour of our chemical labs here at Actega, shows you the difference between conventional mechanically ground pigments on the left, on the right so-called PVD, physical vacuum deposited pigments, and the way they orientate. So why ECOLEAF is so beautiful compared to any other metallic ink effect. Number one, because we use smaller pigments, which are, by the way, the same pigments that are used in the manufacturing process of foils. Number two, because the edges of those pigments and the orientation, if you see, are a lot flatter and more regular. So what happens? With metallic inks, no matter you apply them by flex or gravure, or somebody may think, well, we could jet metallic pigments. The fact is that when they fall, when they drop on the substrate, they never get perfectly flat in a mirror position. They always tend to block themselves in a tilted way. And this tilt and this irregularity of the edges tends to create scattering of light rather than reflection of light. So you get a sort of diamond effect, which is sparkling, but is not mirroring. Okay. While with PVD, when you look at the whole foil, even on the main substrate, you see that it's really shining, it's really like a mirror, you can see yourself into the object. Why is that? Because those pigments are perfectly even and mono-layer perfectly flat. We try to reproduce that effect into our donor roller, on the surface of the silicon donor roller. So, a little bit similarly to what happens in an offset machine, we apply them and then we burnish them, so we coat them on the surface perfectly flat in order to create this mirroring effect. And there is where you get the quality of foils with the simplicity of inks. Last but not least, the economical advantage, because we say sustainability is the main driver, quality cannot be a compromise because otherwise we will not go to market, but there is also a third pillar, which is the economical advantage of the solution. So number one, we don't sell our chemistry, but we sell it with a pay-per-use model. So again, very driven towards the new generations, which are used to rent rather than to buy, so to pay for what they consume, be music, movies, car sharing, and whatnot. I mean, so this is the future also of the business model. We allow lower cost of toolings, especially when it comes to the embossing and haptic effects, reducing the inventory of foils, like we said, and then making easier the logistics. We have no stops or changeovers, or very limited to the cleaning of the donor roller. And let's not forget that on all this waste, luckily, the European community is applying taxes because it's not recyclable. So from January 2021, we're talking about 800 euro per ton to dispose this type of metallic waste. Now, as of today, not all of that is transferred to the converters, but it's partially subsidized by the governments, but in the future, definitely it won't be anymore. So the cost, the impact for the converters on waste is also a big consideration. Okay, that was my side of the presentation for today. I hope everything was sufficiently clear, but we will have plenty of time for Q&A after the presentation from All for Labels now, and after the tour on the machines and on the lab.